Hey, movie fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncharted Media Podcast. This is episode 93, and so the world is a pretty dark and bleak place right now, and so we want to bring some levity and some fun to everything. So this week, we're going to do one. Our discussion today is a topic that, believe it or not, we haven't done yet. I'm actually amazed that we have not done this one yet, Josh. I double and triple checked our list because it's like, we have to. Because the movies that we're going to talk about today, I feel like we reference every single week. Because we're going to be talking about our favorite comedies of all time. One, because the world needs more optimism right now, especially me after this most recent weekend. But I'll go into that in a little bit. But also, one of our news topics today involves a beloved comedy franchise. And I thought, if not now, then when will we talk about favorite comedies? So that's what we're going to do today. We will be talking about our top 10, but not necessarily ranking them. It's like, these are the 10 movies that we like the best in the comedy genre. Other than one movie in particular for me, the rest of them are in my rankings, but I don't have a definitive spot for them. Like, I know what my number one is, but everything else kind of has to duke it out in a battle to the death for my affection. But we'll get there in a little bit. Josh, how you doing tonight?
I'm chilling, bro. I'm chilling like a villain. This is kind of exciting. I don't know if you, the listener / viewer, have caught on, but been trying some new things past couple weeks, and it's kind of exciting, kind of fun. I've been chilling this week. I went to Illinois this past weekend to see a couple guys from college, and that was pretty fun. It's just a chill weekend, chill week. We're just kind of getting started. Big stuff on the horizon, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
How about you?
I have a date circled. I won't say which. I think, Josh, I was thinking maybe episode 95, so in 2 weeks, I think. Do you want to at least tease what the announcement is? Episode 95, we'll make the announcement.
Yeah.
And then we'll start hyping it up in the weeks following. Absolutely. We'll start hyping it up in the weeks following because we got some big stuff planned, guys. I'm really excited. I'm also really excited for today's episode. A lot of good topics, good discussion. But I'm okay. I've had ups and downs the past few days. So I am in the Florida area, which is like God's playground right now of stupidity and bad choices so it seems like there's no end in sight right now, and I had an end in sight, at least somewhat. So I was just like, okay, by this point, stuff should relatively be back to normal. So I go to Universal a lot, and one of my favorite events, not just at Universal, but just in all year. Like, anybody that knows me, I love horror movies. And so Universal has their Halloween Horror Nights every year for like a month. Well, this year was 2 months. It grows bigger and bigger every year. If you've been to like your local haunted house, no, this is not the same. This is like 10 houses made by professionals that have been in the movie industry. So it's like walking through your favorite horror movies. And for the first time ever, Universal shut down both Orlando and Hollywood's Horror Nights this year. So I can't say I was surprised, but it absolutely wrecked my day to the point that I was like, all right, Heather, we're going to Gators for dinner because that's my favorite wing place and that's like my favorite food out there. So I'm like, I need to just drown my sorrows in spicy hot wings, and it's just bad. I'm not saying I'm surprised because it's probably the right choice. And thankfully, they didn't announce anything ahead of time. Like, normally they announce at least one or two of their houses by like March or April, but they hadn't said anything. So I think it's better that I didn't have any expectations.
Yeah.
But also, the really, really sucky thing about this is this year was supposed to be the big 30th anniversary. So I was like, okay, it's either have the big, huge 30th anniversary celebration party at like, at most 50% of the gas pedal that you can go, or wait a year, as much as that sucks, and have it 110%. Some of the rumors this year, it makes me sad because we were supposed to have a Haunting of Hill House this year, and we're going, dang it! Because the past
That
two
would have
years
been
we've had
cool.
Stranger Things, classic Universal monsters. So we were supposed to have like Haunting of Hill House, a Beetlejuice house. Um, but yeah, like I live and breathe for horror nights and just the Halloween genre. And going into COVID, I was just like, please, everybody, wear your masks so we can save the future Halloween related season. And now with no Halloween Kills and no HHN, I'm very nervous that we're not going to have Halloween. But there was some stuff that happened over this weekend, and I was just like, okay, I'm leveling out. I'm good now. There's a certain trailer that we'll
Yeah.
talk about later that I was just like, you know what? I think this is what the world needs right now is these two morons, but we'll get to them in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and it was unfortunate because this was the first year I was close enough to, like, geographically to be able to come down and actually visit you. And so we could go to it together. This was going to be the first year we could do that. And
Oh man, I wanted you to come
it
here
just sucks.
because and this is just for Josh. They have scare zones, which is exactly what it sounds like. Different parts of the park are just people.
Uh-huh.
One of the scare zones last year was called Vikings Undead, which
Yes.
had a whole bunch of like
I'm a
zombified
little
Vikings that would
I like
scare you.
Vikings just a little bit, yeah.
They had like zombified Vikings that would scare you. That have like dummies that were in Blood Eagles that would have little shows with them.
I don't even have Blood Eagles, bro.
They had like somebody that was basically like a human kebab. There was one that was a blood eagle. There was like woodland creatures, kind of. It was
Yeah.
it like I look forward to it every year. I'm repping my HHN merch from last year in memoriam as my drink that I've got with me today, but it's okay. It'll be back next year. It just sucks of just like, okay, I literally have nothing to do this Halloween season, which sucks. But
Yeah.
if it means safety for other people, okay, I'm okay with that. I'd much rather be able to celebrate with diehard Halloween fans next year and feel safe doing it than okay, we can only get 25% of the people that we want in this park at this time. But it sucks, but I
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, I mean, but this will be if we don't have like a Halloween, this will be the Halloween that everybody like does movie marathons and gets like 50-pound bags of Reese's cups and just like as a family like sits down and watches scary movies together, whatever that means for them.
Yeah, Disney Plus is just going to be overwhelmed going, why is everyone watching Hocus Pocus and nothing else?
All 15 billion subscribers. What is going on?
Well, 14 billion, however, money minus one, because I don't do Hocus Pocus, man.
Oh, I don't. I don't get it. But then again, maybe it's not for me, and I didn't grow up with it. But
Same.
I don't know.
Well, I don't really watch Hocus Pocus, but Josh, are you watching anything good lately?
It was a busy week and a busy weekend, so I didn't really watch a lot of stuff. However, you know how big of a history nerd I am. I found a YouTube channel called Know Better, and the guy does a pretty well informed, very well researched, and as unbiased as you can make it, history videos. Like the one that put me onto him was my dad and I had an argument about Christopher Columbus.
And how he's a horrible person?
Yeah, And so I went on a research thing to kind of like get support for my points and to kind of like inform myself too a little bit, because sometimes as adults, sometimes especially in our culture, you see things on Facebook or you're told something like not even secondhand but like third, fourth, or fifth hand, and it's the opinions you have are based off of information that other people have told you. So I went ahead and like, all right, cool, so this is what I already pretty much know for a fact, but let's get some actual research behind it. Let's actually, so I can actually be like, no, yeah, he was a terrible person. And through that process, I found this guy on doing a channel called Know Better, and he's an ex-military veteran. His videos are very, very good, very well done. yeah, so I watched Christopher Columbus. I just finished the one about the oh, what's the word? How Japan has revisioned history with the US's help to kind of show that Japan isn't that bad, allegedly, from the Second World War. And then I watched a really good video that I probably will send you, um, about how the police got to be so militarized as they are today. Like what through history and specifically in America led to that. It's super interesting. Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch Baby Driver this week with my dad.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm aiming to get at least halfway, if not finish Rebels this week, because I got a pretty chill week for the most part. But yeah, that's good about it for me, man. What about you?
Um, so partially inspired by your choice last week, but also because I just picked a couple movies, and so how it goes in the apartment is I always pick like 5 or 6 movies, and Heather could pick from those because our shelf is too huge, and she'll be like, that's a lot to pick from. From if I just be like, Heather, pick the
Yeah.
movie, be like, good luck. Here's 550 plus. Pick one out of that. So I'll like try and pre-narrow it down for her, and so she narrowed it down to Warrior, and I was just like, that's my girl.
That's a
So
good one.
I haven't seen it. We neither of us have seen it in a while, and that's one of her favorites that I've shown her that she hadn't seen before. And
Mhm.
so we rewatched Warrior. Just, oh, it's so good, guys. But
It's so good.
last night, she had not seen, and it's been years since I'd seen it. The Social Network. Um,
Oh,
I'm still mixed
you
on it, but I came away very angry. Um, but not for the reason that you might think. I came away very angry from The Social Network going, I'm not a huge Jesse Eisenberg fan, never have, never will be. I like him in Zombieland, but that's about it. But gosh dang it, Zack Snyder, you cast a pretty decent Lex Luthor, but you didn't have him act like Lex Luthor. Cause we've heard that the Mark Zuckerberg in the Social Network movie isn't very accurate to Mark Zuckerberg in real life because Mark Zuckerberg in real life isn't actually human and he's an android. But the movie version of Mark Zuckerberg felt like Lex Luthor of like, I will stab 2 different people in the back, but in the end, I will come out ahead. I'm the smartest guy in the room and I will not pay attention to anything anybody else says. And I will immediately talk down to everybody else, but not realize what I'm saying is talking down. Or if I do, I don't care.
Wow, that's unfortunate. I don't think I've actually seen Social Network now that I think about it.
It's it's not bad. It's very Aaron Sorkin, which it means it's good writing, but at times it goes by too fast for you to notice that it's great writing.
Fair. That's what Letterkenny feels like sometimes.
Yeah, like the opening
Because I
scene
know you've
between the two
watched a
main
ton of that.
characters. I've seen some of it. But yeah, like the opening scene, the 2 characters going back and forth, I'm just like, I could follow it, but let me breathe, dang it. And also,
Yeah.
no one responds to each other that fast.
Yeah, actually.
It's like West
Yeah.
Wing, but again, because that's Aaron Sorkin. But
Yes.
it's good. I will never say I'll never say Social Network's one of my favorite movies, primarily because I didn't care so much about the rise of Facebook. Like Aaron Sorkin wrote Moneyball, which I much prefer that. And maybe that's because I'm a
Well, 'cause
baseball fan, but
Yeah, baseball.
that's also more of a traditional sports movie where Social Network's just like, hey, you love Facebook? It was created by scumbags.
It is, and it's upheld by scumbags.
Yep, it still is. But now those scumbags have your
Nothing to change
information.
with. I actually, which is wild that we're talking about social media, so the Social Network movie, because I recently just went through my Facebook, all my social media, and kind of like dabbled with all the privacy settings, because just to kind of feel safer, I guess. I don't know.
Makes sense. Well, you know what's not safe? Any release date in 2020. Good grief.
Jeez.
So,
I mean,
again,
at this point, we're not necessarily surprised, but it doesn't mean it doesn't stink any less.
one of these release dates genuinely made me scream at the apartment and roll on the floor in anger for a little bit, and I'm not proud of that. But yeah, I was scrolling through social media on either Thursday or Friday. I forget which. Probably Friday, because that was when the HHN announcement came, and that just compounded on top of that. I'm like, God, can nothing go right today?
Yeah.
Um,
No.
but I thought A Quiet Place was going to be safe. I really did,
Yeah.
because it had been moved to September. I was just like, okay, September seems like a fine time. We should be okay by then. Nope. A Quiet Place 2 has now officially been delayed from September of this year to April 2021. And I'm going, it's not fair because that one was so close to opening right when this broke out. So there are critics
Yeah.
out there that have seen this movie and know what happens. And I'm like, that's not fair. I want to know too, man.
I didn't think about that. That's not fair. I'm bitter. I'm bitter now.
Right? That's one of the few movies that has been delayed, but there are a handful of non-producers that were attached to this movie that have seen the movie. I'm like, come on. At least with Tenet, no one has seen Tenet, so we don't know. A Quiet Place, that actually already had press screenings, and people had seen it, and were saying it was fantastic. I was like, oh, come on. But
yeah, that frustrates me.
The delay train don't stop there. It's everyone's getting on the delay train today. Top Gun Maverick, which I thought was going to be safe. Because it comes out in December. It has been moved from December to July of next year. And I'm going, if Tom Cruise is not safe in his release dates, what is? So yeah, A Quiet Place 2, delayed till April. Top Gun. I was actually looking forward to it. I'm not a huge fan of the first one, but some of the stuff that I saw in the trailer for the new Top Gun actually made me really excited to see this new one. So I was looking forward to that. Add to the list now, almost anything Disney related. Mulan has been delayed, but here's the kicker. It has been delayed indefinitely to the point of we don't actually have a set release date. And also, it's not.
They just not going to show it?
We'll get back to that in a second. But I didn't add it in the graphic because it broke super late, like maybe an hour or two ago before we recorded on this. But Tenet, whatever we want to call it, kind of has a release date. It's very weird. So what they're going to be doing is, I think August 26th or August 29th, they're going to start showing Tenet overseas in like 70 different countries that are in a lot better state than us. And then in select theaters here in America starting September 3rd. So they're going to do like a phased opening of Tenet. And I'm going, interesting. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mulan does something similar to that. But again, Mulan needs the Chinese market.
It does.
So Mulan has been delayed indefinitely going, okay, we need to release this when everything is safe. I'm just looking at Wonder Woman, who's probably sweating nervously going, we're still coming out in September, guys. September or October. But wait, there's more. We have now movies that hadn't started shooting yet, but now have, because we have all these delays in production, but also delays in release dates, everything's going to get shuffled down. So now Spider-Man 3 gets delayed a month from November to December of next year. And I'm going, well, this pretty much puts the nail in the coffin that, yes, Uncharted will definitely be coming out before Spider-Man 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Avatar.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. Avatar and Avatar and Star Wars movies all have been pushed back a year. So the next Star Wars movie won't be until 2023, which,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's actually probably for the best right now. Let the Star Wars franchise cool off, do its thing on Disney Plus. I'm not a huge fan of James Cameron, except for some of his earlier stuff, like T2, True Lies. But I actually feel bad for him with Avatar here, because he's been working on it forever, and to be like, all right, guys, we're just about done with principal photography. Are you? Because you got to push it back. And then he's just like, yep, we'll have it come out at a later date. Don't worry, I'll start working on the 6 other sequels. And that's not me telling a joke. He's actually trying to do 5 or 6 sequels. And
man, I didn't know you could expand Fern Gully to that many movies.
Yeah. So, Josh, you seeing all these delays, what are there certain ones that hurt more than others? What are you making of all these delays?
Quiet Place hurt. Mulan hurt. Well, I was kind of excited for Top Gun. just because of like much like you, like a lot of the stuff looked good. It looked fun. I've seen the original. It's not one of my favorite movies, but it's good. Like I'll put it on and put it on in
It's
the background. It's a good film.
it's good to make fun of for its not very
Only if you hate
subtleness.
volleyball. um, but Avatar I expected. I wasn't sure. I personally, because you keep up with it way better than I do, and for better or for worse, um, I really wasn't sure how far along Avatar was. So that doesn't surprise me. Um, I'd like to think that given more time, James Cameron will write some better movies, but we'll find out. But yeah, I definitely would agree with you on the two things. Uncharted is definitely coming out before Spider-Man 3 now.
Considering, that one's actually filming now, so
Yes, yes. But I kind of feel like that's a good thing, especially because it's going to have some separation, isn't it? Like, if there's a few months between them, isn't there?
yeah, I think Uncharted is still supposed to come out July, and then now Spider-Man's December. So I'm not sure, but you got to think also. Uncharted doesn't have to worry about other movies, whereas Spider-Man, I'm sure Kevin Feige has to have it slot into a specific spot, and with everything
Yeah,
Black Widow, Eternals, Shang-Chi, with everything being
yeah,
slotted down, it makes a lot of sense that Spider-Man has to be slotted down too.
yeah. It does. And that's the price you pay for having chronological storytelling.
Well,
But yeah, no, I would agree with you on the Star Wars thing. I think that will end up being a way better move. With because we had what how many Star Wars movies come out in the span of 2 or 3 years?
from
Like five? Well,
2015 to now, we've had at least five.
at
Yeah,
least
we've had the
five.
trilogy and the two spin-offs, so one a year.
Yeah. So five movies in 5 years. Um, and for better or for worse, obviously there's all kinds of critics, and we've kind of voiced our opinions before. Um, which have we ever talked new trilogy with Michael?
I don't think we have. Just because right now I feel like new trilogy as a concept is still pretty up in the air. Of like, yes, we're getting High Republic stuff. Disney's pushing that. I feel like they were really going to push the pedal down on that hard right as this was outbreak was happening. Of like books, comics, stuff in the High
Yeah.
Republic era. But I'm very much down for that idea. I will talk to Michael and see.
See if we can get him on. That would be a lot of fun because I remember our last Star Wars episode before the release of Rise that we did. We had him on, and that was a lot of fun. That's still one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah,
But
that was
yeah,
a good
no.
one.
But anyway, the because of the five movies in 5 years, I think it might be good to kind of ease off the gas just a little bit on the actual like mainstream cinema for Star Wars movies and focus on your kind of your Disney Plus stuff. I mean, Obi-Wan, Mandalorian, like those are going to be your expanded universe stories that are really going to build your build your world or your worlds as it would be. Um and that those are the kind of things that will make us be amped again in 3 years when we bring Star Wars back.
With Taika Waititi. Um,
Taika Waititi.
I'll always say, and I'll still say this till the death of me, of Star Wars fatigue is not a thing, guys. It is uh, quality over quantity. It's not that we got a Star Wars movie a year for 5 years. It's that they were movies that weren't universally beloved and were just kind of not
Yeah.
not the best foot forward. If you make good movies time and time again, people, here's a novel concept. People don't get sick of good movies. Look at the
What?
MCU.
No way.
If you keep making good movies, people don't get tired of that. So people
Nathan,
saying
I
that they're
don't believe
sick
you, man.
of Star Wars right now, it's probably because you just haven't liked what they put out. And if you don't like what Disney has done with Star Wars currently, I totally understand and respect that. But I
Yeah.
don't think Star Wars fatigue is a real thing. I think it's quality will always cream will always the what's it? Cream will always rise to the top. So
Yep.
there's been lukewarm movies so far is the problem more than anything else.
Yeah, because I personally I wouldn't say that no matter how you feel about Last Jedi, no matter how you feel about Rise of Skywalker, they're not absolute garbage movies.
No.
There's fun while it's rushed. There's a lot of fun to be had in Rise. There's a lot of good, really good, powerful moments in Rise. It's just rushed, so it doesn't feel as earned. But it's by far not a garbage movie. I mean, we do a series on this show called Five Good Things. We've seen garbage movies.
Oh, yes. If you guys think Rise of Skywalker is the worst movie you've ever seen, expand your horizons, people.
Oh, dude. And like, there's some movies out there that are not even so bad it's good, like Wicker Man, like, or really most of Nicolas Cage's films. Like, I don't think there's anyone that's like absolute garbage.
We haven't seen them all yet.
That's a discussion for another day.
No, Outcast. Yeah. Outcast.
The fact that we make a point to see every Nicolas Cage movie ever says something about our friendship.
Also, I don't think we've ever talked about it on the podcast here, but guys, there's a Nicolas Cage movie coming out where he's going to play himself.
Wait, what?
Yeah, look it up. It's going to be like a being John Malkovich type thing where Nicolas Cage is going to play Nicolas Cage, and I'm all about it.
I wonder how he's going to act.
Oh, also, before we move on to our next topic, I saw the single greatest meme of all time today. It showed John Travolta walking down the street with no mask on or anything. He was just getting groceries.
Yes,
and
I saw that.
And somebody said, "Oh, it's nice to see Nicolas Cage with his mask on." And I was like, "That is the best.
Yes,
that's the best meme I've ever seen."
I saw similar like Nicolas
Face Off. Face Off is great, guys. Oh, so Josh, this segue is going to get me killed by some people, but I don't care. So you talk about Rise of Skywalker being rushed, and kind of some people thinking it's rushed and garbage. Well, speaking of rushed and garbage, half the DCEU movies. So,
oh boy,
I'm going to surprise Josh here. The more we find out about the Snyder Cut, the more I'm intrigued and interested by it, and I'm becoming more and more supportive of it. Not because I like Zack Snyder's movies, I really don't. But because more and more stuff has come out of how royally he was screwed over, and more than anything, I just want the guy to finish what he started, for better or for worse. So, there was a thing over the weekend, which, did you guys know Comic-Con was this weekend? And not a lot came out of it. Virtual Comic-Con. But somebody held something called Justice Con, put on by some fans, and they actually had Zack Snyder on it. And so he talked a little bit about his version of Justice League that we're going to be seeing next year, with a little clip of that scene that got cut from the movie, but they put on the special features as a deleted scene where Superman comes to Alfred. But this time, it is in the black and silver, the classic, like, I'm coming back to life suit. So I'm not proud of myself for this, but for those that know what the Mandela effect is, it's that effect of, like, you grew up thinking that the Monopoly Man has a monocle, but he really doesn't, or those people that thought Curious George had a tail. I could have sworn on my life that black and silver Superman had a cape.
No,
he doesn't.
No.
So I looked it up. I looked it up. I was just like, I could have sworn he had a cape when he came back to life. I thought he had a cape and a beard when he came back to life. Neither of those are
the
true.
Beard, yes.
No, he doesn't. In the original run by John Burns, he's got a mullet, but he doesn't have a beard. I think one of the animated movies he might have had a beard, but looking at the actual comic, look up from the ones from 1993 when he died. He's clean shaven with a terrible mullet.
Okay, but I need the mullet. The mullet means growth.
We don't. Just stop. You can't even grow a mullet.
Oh, that hurt.
Right
Come
now, I
on.
was about to say right now I'm kind of growing a mullet, but I have my headphones over my hat, which wasn't smart thinking on my end.
There you go.
So here's my thing: is I thought this scene looked really cool, except for the cape. The cape looked really, really weird to me. Like the silver of the cape, I was like, I probably would have made that like jet black to match the suit a little better. But other than that, I thought it looked really, really interesting. He did say, however, that whole black and silver suit is completely color corrected because the studio made him shoot all the Superman scenes with the red and blue suit because they didn't understand the black and silver. So the black and from what I understand what he said is the black and silver suit was never actually made, and anytime we see it, it's the color corrected version of the suit.
That's crazy.
Because the studio was just like, we don't. Why would he have a black and silver one? We don't get it. So I'm like, okay, Snyder, I'll take your side on that one. So, that's why the suit is so bright and colorful in the Justice League that we got, is to make it easier to go back and color correct it later.
That's nuts.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, Zach, I'm kind of taking your side on this. And also, further to his credit, again, I'll give credit where credit's due, even if it means I was wrong. He did bring up a really good point recently of, as much as I want to see Superman back in the red and blue and be the Superman we know and love, how is he supposed to wear that red and blue suit when he got impaled by Doomsday and there's a big old hole in the middle?
Hey, yeah, wait a second.
It's like, oh.
Wait.
Huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My mind's being blown right now, man.
So yeah, but the jury is still out on the quality of the movie, but the more I'm hearing about it, I'm like, okay, Zach, I will give you the benefit of the doubt because I still like most of Man of Steel. I still have some issues with it, but I still like most of Man of Steel. And Batman versus Superman, I hate it. I hate it so much. But also, I'm the person that over the past few months has been vehemently defending J.J. Abrams for Rise of Skywalker, going, every director has at least one bad outing at the office. So maybe Batman versus Superman was Zack Snyder's bad day at the office. Like, I haven't liked some of his other stuff, like 300. I hate 300, but I really enjoy Watchmen. So we don't know what Justice League is going to be like, but the more I hear about it and the more I hear of the cast, who I don't like Zack Snyder's movies by and large, but I think I would enjoy working for him because I've never heard anything negative from anybody that works with him. So I'm not going to lie. The suit to me, minus the cape, looks awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm at least curious.
I would like to have the mullet, but that's me personally.
Yeah. Why? It's 2020. Well, I was about to say it's 2020. Who's got mullets? But now everyone in America.
Like, mullets are coming back, bro.
It's because everyone's scared to go to the barber shop.
They need representation in media. They need oh, no. Okay, yeah, but I would like the mullet. I think it just adds to the he's
so 90s,
he's been down for a while. He's unkept.
So he also said that we will be getting our first official trailer during Fandom, which I kind of figured would happen. He also said that he won't be using any of the Joss Whedon footage, which some people got all up in arms, which I get it, because he didn't really necessarily put it in the most delicate way. I think Zack Snyder at times can, like, if his comments are taken out of context, can come across as a bit abrasive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, while I like the Joss Whedon Justice League that we got, I completely understand why Snyder would say, I'm not using any of that footage, because it's not what he wanted. And Snyder's Justice League is going to be exactly what he wanted. And that's totally fair, I think.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is, especially with how everything's coming out and how royally screwed he's been for Justice League and from the studio. I think it's one of those, like, I need to not just I want to not use the footage of the guy that replaced me. I want to prove to the studio that my vision was the right one. And I want to prove to the fans that doubt me too. Like, I think there's a certain, I think he feels like there might be a chip on his shoulder with this, especially coming off of not Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and with everything. I mean, I wouldn't, whether or not the family stuff was real or what have you, or whether or not it was just kind of given to us as a reason for Warner Brothers to be like, go away. But if I can see him coming into this with a chip on his shoulder and determination to not just make this his own, but to make it really good.
Yeah, I think also the thing that kind of really started to turn me around on this and make it go, okay, I'm much more accepting of this, is he has said that his version of the movie that's coming out is not canon. And he actually said this word specifically. He said, think of this movie like an Elseworld story, to which I immediately go, okay, I'm fine with this, because I haven't liked some of your story directions that you've gone in the past, but I respect your vision. But if you told me it's an Elseworld story, I'm okay with that, because that would explain some of the out-of-characteristic nature that we've had with some of these characters. I can kind of get more on board with it if it's an Elseworld story.
Yeah, and one of my buddies was like, oh, not canon. Oh, come on. But at the same time, it's like, how do you, if you make this canon, how do you explain to a common moviegoer that the Justice League that you saw in theaters all those months ago
doesn't
is
count.
Now not, it doesn't count. It's not real.
Because
how do you explain that? So it makes, you almost have to not make it canon.
Because as much as we think we're the norm when it comes to movie people, there's people like my parents who they like Justice League, but if I tell them anything about the Snyder Cut, they'll be like, well, what's that? Because we as comic book fans think that we're still the biggest majority. People go see comic book movies, but people that follow the movie news actively and keep up with this type of inner working stuff isn't the mainstream yet. It's still people know of the Snyder Cut, but I don't think they know that's a thing. But I don't think people really. It'll confuse people if it was canon.
Yeah, I don't think they know of the significance of it either.
Yeah, that's fair. So one movie that I swear it started production before Justice League might finally be coming out.
Pretty sure it did.
Is The New Mutants. So The New Mutants also had a panel at Comic-Con this weekend where they said that they were coming out August 28th, which I'll get into that release date in a second of kind of something that I hope happens. But not only did they say that they're sticking with their release date for right now, they debuted the opening couple seconds, well, not seconds, but the first 4 minutes of The New Mutants itself. And I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet. For the most part. So, I'm going to address the elephant. The one and only thing that I didn't like, the elephant in the room on this, the only thing I didn't like about this opening scene was, good grief, was that dad a bad actor? What?
He looked familiar.
He did, but I didn't know what from. But also, maybe it was my internet connection or something, but it, seemed like they did a really weird ADR job on him. His back was turned while he was delivering the dialogue, and I couldn't really hear him. And then when I did, his lips didn't quite line up, or it was either that or the delivery was just wonky. But other than that, it's this doesn't feel like an X-Men movie, and I like that a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
It feels like a horror movie, which is what this movie's been marketing itself as the entire time, and I'm glad it's sticking to that premise. Also, giant bears. Bears.
Yeah. Giant bears.
So Nicolas Cage is going to come back at the end, skin the bear, and then take its carcass. Just so he can come back for the Wicker Man 2, The Wickening.
Okay, but
if that's not what Wicker Man 2 is called.
No, it should not be called that at all. Um, but I watched the like minute and a half teaser before watching the 2 minutes that they dropped it like a little bit before the 2 minute drop. Um, and dude, the more and more I see from this film, the more and more I get excited about it. I think you and I have been vocal in that I have been excited about this since the first trailer because it's a fresh new idea that hasn't really been done before. And the cast is incredible. And I think they kind of show it in the teaser as well as in the 2 minutes outside of the weird dad thing. But he's obviously not going to be a recurring character. Maybe not. I don't know.
He gets country bearded. That's what happens to Joel Osment's bear.
I was thinking he comes back in like a dream sequence or something like that, but
yeah,
probably. It's super cool. I enjoy it. It's something new, fresh. All the powers look super fun and new and something we haven't really seen before.
Also, the movie's got your girl Anya Taylor-Joy in it from Split and The Witch.
I love her. She's great.
She's great primarily because she, to me, is a lot like Haley Steinfeld. They're great, but also, by and large, they are very good at what they pick to be in. So, like, I think part of the reason why I like Haley Steinfeld and Anya Taylor-Joy is, like, when I see that they're in something, 9 times out of 10, it's a pretty decent movie, especially Haley Steinfeld. But this, I'm just like, okay, they're pretty selective about their scripts. It's the same reason why I'm excited for Robert Pattinson as Batman. I'm like, he's really selective about his scripts. And so if Anya Taylor-Joy's attached to this, I think she sees something, and I'm like, I'm excited. So I talked about the release date. I think they might still keep this release date, but here's why I would be very excited. So Christopher Nolan, I love you, brother, but he's like so gung-ho about, I need to be the first movie that comes back to the theaters. I need to be the one that saves the theater-going experience. I would laugh so hard if the New Mutants beat him to the opening box office by 1 week.
And honestly, I would love that. This movie deserves it. Like, the amount of nonsense that New Mutants has been through, it deserves this kind of spotlight, especially if it turns out to be a good movie.
Didn't it finish filming, like, before Nolan even started Dunkirk?
Well, from what I remember, it was like the movie was like done, but it got lost a little bit in the Disney Fox merger.
It's been done forever.
Yeah, like I remember us being like, will they release New Mutants during the Disney Fox like MCU merger?
And some people were going, well, it's going straight to Disney Plus. Sorry, guys. Disney Plus, if it did go straight to streaming, Disney Plus is not where it's going first. It's got pre-existing contracts.
No. Well, even if it wasn't a pre-existing contract, I don't think I can see New Mutants on Disney Plus.
Hulu. So,
ooh, I'm down.
Yeah. So, I'm curious about this movie. It looks good. This opening shot definitely got me on board more. So, we shall see. Jury's still out if this movie will ever come out. But fingers crossed, and I do hope it's before Tenet. I love you, Christopher Nolan, but I just think it'd be funny. He'll be like,
yeah.
He'll just look at the box office going, what the heck's a New Mutant?
I mean, because he's totally the kind of guy to like not necessarily pay attention to what else is coming out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I'm paying attention to something that's coming out, unfortunately, now on demand in September. And I'm, of course, referring to Bill and Ted Face the Music, which made the very sad announcement that it will be going to video on demand starting in September 1st. However, I'm not totally sad about it because they said it'll be open in select theaters, which makes me think, okay, if your theater's open, they might be showing this, but also video on demand. And almost kind of as like a make good to the fans, they dropped a new trailer and what I imagine will probably be the final trailer before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
And Dude, this is the trailer that they should have opened with, because I have watched this trailer so many times and have had a big, huge grin on my face the entire time I'm watching this trailer, every single time,
Yeah.
because holy crap, this completely nails the tone. It is wonderfully funny and stupid at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I like how they are. I mean, we're obviously here for Bill and Ted, but I like um, that they've kind of kept the daughters in the background a little bit, and like we only get like a little bit of a taste of them towards the end of the trailer. And like what we do get, I was like, we're in for a treat. We're in for quite a treat. It's going to be fun. I mean, if the video on demand in this case, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I think it's one of those like, we need this movie to come out right now because of the time that we're in, and I can see Keanu being like, the message is important. So I don't mind the video on demand. I think it's not. Well, we're not going to make our money back with this, but at the same time, you're not going to make your money back with this.
Yeah, it's one of those just like, I don't think this movie was ever going to be a big box office smash hit or anything. Like, it could make its money back for sure, but it wasn't going to make $400-500 million. It was going to be a modest success because its budget wasn't necessarily the biggest budget in the world. I think this trailer for sure telegraphs the fact that the daughters are going to be the ones that saves the universe.
Yes.
Maybe performing with their dads, but I think it's interesting that this trailer also had a lot more. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. There was a lot more heart than I thought there would be. A moment that stands out for me is when they're in the garage and Ted is just like, dude, we're old and we still haven't written that song and I'm tired. Like, I get the sense that Ted just wants to move on with his life because they spent so much time trying to come up with this universe-saving song. And Bill is just like, no, dude, we've got to write this song. It's our destiny. We got to do it. Like, that's the thing that he's holding on to, whereas Ted's just like, I just want to move on with this, man. I want to do something else. So it was nice to see Death again and being like, perfect. I love the whole, is he playing hopscotch by himself and he's cheating? Or the scene that I've watched so many times though is that ending stinger of girls, dads, how are you doing? Oh, well, we're in hell and we're dead, but how are you doing? Good. Like like you're dead and in hell, but they realized, yeah, that doesn't mean anything down here, but how are you doing? Like, Keanu still cares.
And that's what I think the girls are like the secret weapon. I mean, I think you're right in that they telegraph that the girls are going to write the song to save the universe. But
if you do it right, I'm
not necessarily. Yeah, I don't necessarily dislike that. Primarily because like just that little snippet of at the end that we get with the dads and the daughters, like that chemistry is awesome, and I love it.
Like, so long as you pass the torch well, I'm fine with the torch being passed in general.
Absolutely.
Just don't make it heavy-handed. But yeah, either way, video on demand or in theaters, I'll be seeing this opening weekend somehow. So, this next story. For those that think Jason Snowmoa is the weirdest story that we've had in a while, you're right. But this is also into consideration, and I'm going to call this news topic Ice Franco. Because...
Okay.
So... Vanilla Ice was a thing, right? For a little bit?
Yeah, not that big of a thing, but a thing.
Yeah, not a good thing at all. But apparently we are now getting Dave Franco to be playing Vanilla Ice in an upcoming biopic. And I'm going, of all people to get a biopic, why Vanilla Ice? Which, yes, I know what you're thinking, and yes, I did put a picture of Vanilla Ice with the Ninja Turtles and Dave Franco for the graphic for this, because that's his eternal legacy. Is not
It is.
Ice Ice Baby. It's Go Ninja, Go
It's
Ninja,
go
Go.
ninja go. Go
Um,
ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja,
from the
go.
little snippets that I've heard, we don't know a ton about this. I'm not entirely against this because they've said that they kind of want to recapture the magic of Dave Franco's performance in The Disaster Artist and kind of do something similar to that of being kind of aware that this guy doesn't have that much talent. That being said, though, I would rather watch something Tommy Wiseau related than something Vanilla Ice related, and that includes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. So,
I the issue because I think Dave does have some talent.
oh yeah,
Is the thing. It's like,
Jump Street.
I can't. Yeah, like he's good. So I think recapture the magic of the '90s. I guess sure. I don't know. I don't really know what to do with this. It's just one of those like you said, of all people to get a biopic, why Vanilla Ice?
I'm just like, could we not do a biopic about that guy from Journey, their new singer that they found via YouTube? I think that'd be a lot cooler of a biopic.
That'd be rad. Or even like to follow up the Queen one, to be like do something about the transit. Actually, no, I think they did a documentary about the transition from Queen like not being a thing to Adam Lambert. See, I think they just released a documentary now that I say something about it.
Now, just make a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody about Brian May.
Yeah.
I actually would be really down for that. Or, better yet, let's do an AC/DC biopic and just call it Highway to Hell.
Well, because the transition from lead singers would be awesome. Because for those who don't know, Back in Black, was the album that featured their new lead singer because the original one died due to overdose and all that stuff. And you can almost not even tell because he sounds almost exactly the same. But they also it's easily one of the best rock albums of all time. So it would be interesting to do almost like something like The Dirt for Motley Crue, but with AC/DC.
I'd be down. I just think some studio exec was like, okay, the 90s are big right now. What from the 90s can we turn into a movie or biopic? It's like the Jason Momoa thing of just like they shook it up in a Yahtzee barrel and we're like, okay, Dave Franco's hot right now. So is Vanilla Ice, kind of. He's not doing reality TV anymore, so he's okay to do a movie about. It's just okay, sure. That being said, I still love Disaster Artist, and I think it's criminally underrated, and Dave Franco's excellent in it. So if it's in the same vein as Disaster Artist, could work for me. I like weird stuff. And our last news topic today. It's not surprising. It's more of, I kind of want to get your thoughts on this, Josh. So DC Universe, the app for all things DC, supposedly, was initially touted to be that of all things DC, DC movies, DC comics, your one-stop shop for everything DC. And almost the day it launched, they almost completely pulled out support for DC Universe. And now it seems to be, the service seems to have been dealt another critical hit, if you will, in that, so they had an option for a while there of you could buy your subscription either per month, which is what I do, or buy it a year at a time. So you could save a couple bucks and just pay it all in 1 year. Now they've completely taken it away, and now you can only pay month to month. And I'm going, okay, this confirms to me that within a year, DC Universe as we know it is going to be dead or in some way integrated into HBO Max. The signs at least have been there for me for a while because they said for a little bit of, okay, this is where all the DC animated movies and everything else are going to be. They dropped that so quick of like stuff will show up on Netflix or Hulu or now HBO Max, and like there's not a lot on HBO Max left. They'll be like, it's your home for original stuff. I'll be honest, literally the only reason wasn't for the comics was I got DC Universe for Young Justice Outsiders when that showed up. But they had Young Justice Outsiders, Titans, Harley Quinn, Doom Patrol, and Swamp Thing. Canceled Swamp Thing. Titans has mixed reviews. Harley Quinn, excellent. Doom Patrol, excellent. Both of those are now on HBO Max, and there's rumors that Titans will go to HBO Max as well. Actually, the number one thing that frustrates me, and also was the first sign of, we have trouble here, is, Josh, do you remember when the animated movies were coming out, and they said that the day that they come out on DVD or Blu-ray, they'll be available on DC Universe?
Yes, I do.
That doesn't happen anymore. They only just recently got Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. And I'm going,
yeah.
I've seen that like 3 or 4 times now, because that came out a long time ago. So I'm looking forward to Superman Man of Tomorrow next month. So I'll wait until October, I guess, before it'll be on DC Universe. Just kidding. I'll just go out and buy it, because I think my theory with this is they wanted to test that out, and then maybe their next DC animated movie, whatever that was, that came out the same day as DC Universe, didn't do well in sales, maybe, and so they wanted to get some like first day sales, because by and large DC animated movies, when they come out, I'll buy them the first day that they come out, because typically they're pretty good. So maybe that was a factor, but I think the biggest factor is stuff's going to HBO Max. Titans going to HBO Max. Harley Quinn. However, because I'm nitpicky, so long as my stuff is either on Titans, it's either on HBO Max or it's on DC Universe, I'll still watch it on DC Universe instead, for 2 reasons. 1, DC Universe is on Roku, morons, and DC Universe has this thing called 4K, morons.
What? 4K?
Yeah, it should be a prerequisite, guys. It shouldn't be, well, sorry, we're going to get around to it. Idiots. So,
yeah.
Josh, my main question is, what do you make of this? And over under 1 year left for DC Universe as we know it now.
I mean, like you said, it feels like it's a long time coming. We've kind of seen this on the horizon for a long time. We've been expecting it almost. I think I'm going to shoot for, at the latest, January.
At the latest?
But at the early... for it to be gone.
I think there'll still be at least some of it in 2021, but yeah, it's not much longer.
Yeah, and that's... My big thing is, I think... how do I say this? The video, like the visual content will be gone, but the comics will still be there, because I don't know a lot of people that, at least I don't know them personally, that a lot of people go out and actually buy the physical comics when they're released.
No, not individual issues. It's too expensive. I will buy books when they're when a storyline is done.
I usually wait for the volumes to come out.
But individual issues, it's too expensive. Plus,
yeah, absolutely. And
I kind of have too many by myself already. So
yeah, and it's just easier to read them. Like you can, sometimes you don't want to use the comic itself, because it can get crinkled, it can get ruined, it can get spilled drink on it or what have you. It's just nicer to have it like on your phone. And while it's not, at least in my opinion, the best viewing experience, I definitely prefer to have it on the page in front of me, but at least I don't have to risk carrying a comic book around. I can just have it right there on my phone. So I would hope that stays around. I wish companies like Dark Horse and Image would do stuff like that, but
I think, I hope that, and I think they will keep the library, because even if like you do go to a comic book store to pick up comics, that's why they don't have stuff from like within 6 months, because they still want to try and at least have some of those comic book sales. Is It's good if you want some of the older stuff. Be like, hey, I want this Flash comic from 1974 where he fights Captain Cold. You can go back and find that a whole lot easier on your tablet already in your service as opposed to trying to track it down in your local comic book store that might not even have it because they won't have a whole bunch of the older stuff, like not necessarily the very specific one that you're looking for.
Yeah, and that's for better or for worse.
Yeah. I still love going to comic book stores, but I almost never go for individual issues. I go for books, like finished storylines, or for research for like future projects that we might also be working on.
What? No.
Without going into too much detail about what it is, Josh, have you started that yet?
I've dabbled a little bit, going back and forth. Just kind of, taking my time on it. Given that it's a few weeks out, just kind of,
I'll talk to you more about it off mic because I have some thoughts about it. I think I have the ending and the main villain down.
Ooh,
I think.
Okay.
And I'll give you a hint, and I'll give the people at home a little hint. It's not who you think I would probably go with.
Okay.
Now Josh's interest is piqued, but that's a further down the road type of thing. But we'll get there. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. Josh, you got a sponsor for us this week?
This week is brought to you in part by Monster Energy. When you have those long trips and you can't stop peeing, might as well be Monster Energy.
I thought you were gonna do like a PBS thing there, just like this episode is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
I just a little 10-year-old me. You're so welcome.
Mm-hmm. So, like we said at the beginning of the show, everyone needs some positivity in their life right now because the world's kind of dark. So, this week, we figured in conjunction with the Bill and Ted news, we were going to discuss our favorite comedies of all time. Now, these are like kind of more or less my 10 favorites, but other than my number one, which is absolutely, it will never be replaced as my number one, the rest of them are just kind of in the discussion. And I had a couple that are like 11s and 12s that just barely missed the cut that I'm like, I love you, so I let you go. And be with people that love you more.
I think you posted on, what was it? You posted on either our Facebook or you just messaged me or put it on my personal Facebook, that like, all right, Josh, I know this can be hard, but we're only doing 10 because you and I love a good comedy.
Oh, yes. And I'm sure there's going to be some overlap on our list, but I was just like, okay, if we don't put some parameters on this, we will talk about this all day. And I don't know about you, but I don't need another Star Wars episode where it's going to be 3 hours long.
I don't think anybody else needs podcasts that long.
I mean, we've had some long episodes before, but I don't want to get that long, so we're going to limit it to just 10. And I will save my number one for last, but everything else is kind of just up in the air. So I'll start off with one that I actually am kind of kicking myself that I never saw earlier in life. And I saw it only for the first time earlier this year. And it makes me sad because it's so up my alley and my specific type of humor. And that's Tim Curry's Clue. I loved Clue. Tim Curry could do no wrong, but everyone else in it is so good. It's, for those that don't know, because it's wonderful, it's basically Knives Out, except funny, intentionally funny throughout. So you've got all this really stupid, wonderful humor. If you like Psych, it's a lot like that type of humor. A lot like that type of humor. If you have not seen it, if you have not seen it, Josh, I think it's on Amazon Prime, or it's also in the Vudu. It's in the Vudu.
It's a well-known fact that I don't watch a lot of movies.
It's in the Vudu. After I saw it, I immediately bought it because I was just like, okay, this is too good.
All right.
Oh, it's so funny.
Man.
It's just wrong, but it's funny.
Start. Solid start.
It reminds me a lot of Psych.
Okay, rock on, man. All right, you ready? I got my first one. You ready for this? I don't think you're ready for this.
I think I know what it is. I know what at least one
Oh,
of it is. I think. No, I won't say it because I'm pretty sure it's going to be your number one.
I don't know.
I think I know what your number one is.
Probably. I'm very predictable.
And I would hope you know what my number one is, but we'll see. What did you got there?
We'll get we'll burn that bridge when we get there. I'm gonna start off strong with Hot Rod,
Dang
starring
it!
Andy Samberg and Bill Hader.
Dang! That's the one that I thought was going to be your number one.
No,
Gosh.
sir. I mean,
Gosh, dang it! I should have said it then.
Hot Rod.
I should have said Hot Rod. Well, now it's anybody's ball game. I have no the world. Well, I was about to say the world's a completely uncertain place now, but it really is.
Here's the thing. I think when we do get to number one, you won't be surprised. But
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, we Hot Rod it's Andy Samberg at peak, like right before Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He is, for those who don't know, Hot Rod stars Rod, who is a stuntman, but he's actually like terrible. He's like really bad at stunts, but it's his lifelong pursuit, and it's just good old fashioned Lonely Island fun. Like I don't know, it's so quotable, it's painful. Danny McBride's in it. There's not a lot you can go wrong with it.
I will perfectly transition off of that to a movie on my list that has Danny McBride. I'm gonna light this place up like it's the 4th of frickin' July, and I'm of course talking about Tropic Thunder. I love Tropic Thunder so much. When my boy wants a TiVo, my boy gets a TiVo is still one of McConaughey's best performances, but also no offense to the man, but this is probably still Tom Cruise's best performance as well. Because Les Grossman is one of the single most evil but hilarious people ever. And I am talking scorched earth. I will massacre you. Find out who that was. Or just Ben Stiller bring his A game, Jack Black always needing his M&Ms, or your boy Jay Baruchel, also known as Hiccup, being hilariously outgunned as the rookie actor, or the Academy Award nominated Robert Downey Jr. as a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. Which, believe it or not, that's not actually my favorite line. My favorite moment in the whole movie, it's so stupid, is when he's trying to convince them that he speaks their language, and he's just like, I'm a farmer. You're a farmer? I'm a lead farmer, mother effer. And he just breaks it like these two huge guns. I'm like, how? And then Jack Black the whole time is like trying to get his little pistol out, and by the time he finally gets it out, the fight's done. I'm just like, this is so stupid, but it's wonderful.
I definitely think that is a recurring theme here with, I think, some of our favorite comedies is, outside of excellent writing and excellent performances, it's generally speaking just stupid fun. That's like one of the ones that I'm going to bring up here shortly, is that like some stuff, it doesn't necessarily have to make sense. It doesn't necessarily have to it doesn't necessarily have to not cross any lines. It's just, it's all good, all in good fun.
Yeah. I'll do another one and I'll tag team you in, because I think comedy, we like two specific genres, and I think they're more alike than people would like to give it credit for, because one genre everyone seems to like and one genre is very niche, and those are comedy and horror. And whether people want to admit it or not, the two are very, very similar. Both are very script-based, but also very timing-based. If you tell a joke too soon, not funny. If you tell it too late, not funny. Yeah. But if you hit the right spot, perfect. Same with any scares, atmosphere, anything. Comedy is very similar to horror, which is why
Yeah.
when you meld them together, oh my goodness, it's a perfect blend of just amazeballs. So I don't know if it's my favorite horror comedy. Probably because there's still enough horror elements, unlike something else I'll talk about later, which I would consider just a straight up comedy. But I will always sing the praises of Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I knew it. I knew it.
It's so good. Admittedly, Tucker and Dale versus Evil is more funny if you are a horror fan because it lampoons the whole idea of horror movies of just like, here's our idiot rednecks that you would immediately assume are the killers, but they're not. They're the good guys, and the douchey college kids are actually the villains in this. And so, if you go into it as a horror fan, you'll be more rewarded. It's kind of like Cabin in the Woods, but I would much rather watch Tucker and Dale versus Evil versus Cabin in the Woods. I like Cabin in the Woods, but Tucker and Dale, it's so funny. Also, both Tucker and Dale are some of the most wholesome and good-natured protagonists this side of Bill and Ted, of like, they're just genuinely good people that have the worst luck in the world. Like, you genuinely feel bad. It's just like, it's just one giant misinterpretation. But at the same time, if it's even funnier if you're a horror fan, because good grief, the kills are so ridiculously over the top. Like, I know your favorite kill is the dude jumping headfirst into the wood chipper, or the guy.
I love. Yes.
Or the guy that's running away from the bee's nest, and the guy with the chainsaw, and accidentally impales himself like Olaf in Frozen. Or actually, a scene that I feel like doesn't get enough credit is at the end when the main college kid is trying to confront the redneck and be like, we want our friend back. Their friend is just like, actually, okay, I'm a psychology major. We're going to sit down and talk through our issues. Now, doesn't that sound nice? Does anybody want any tea? Like this whole, like just, all right, stop, pause. We're going to talk about this like grown-ups. I'm like, what? Okay. And then immediately just things go bad again with like a weed whacker to the face. It's just,
yep.
It's so dumb, but I love it as a horror fan and as a comedy. It's just, it goes, okay, this is the horror movies that you know, but what if you're the bad guy because you rooted for the wrong person this whole time? Of, hey, Tucker, just go up to that girl and smile. Girls like when you smile. Okay, maybe don't smile.
And he's got like,
hey guys, you from around here? He's got the scythe.
Hey lady. Oh man, it's so good. I think the reason the wood chipper scene is my favorite is not necessarily the kill itself, but Tucker's reaction to it, where he's just like, did somebody just jump in the wood chipper? What's going on?
And he's trying to help him, and the cop shows up, and he's got just legs.
He's like trying to pull it out. He's like, come on, get out of there. He's like, officer, I promise this isn't what it looks like.
I could talk about Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Just, people, go see it. It's so good. Josh, what you got?
All right, so I'm going to hit you with one that I think I've mentioned once or twice. I will caveat with this is not a good movie.
Oh no.
But it is so either unintentionally or intentionally hilarious that it's hard to watch sometimes.
Kung Pao.
I'm talking about a movie starring people like Donald Glover and Audrey Plaza. The movie called Mystery Team.
Say what?
Have you ever heard of this movie? Have you never heard of the Mystery Team?
Mystery Team? Is this like Discount Scooby-Doo?
Yeah. No, it's about three best friends who solve, in large air quotes, solve mysteries. And like, so they start doing it as kids, and then they're about to all leave for college, and they're still doing it. So they're like almost grown teenagers, like going to college, and they're still acting like they were in like elementary school. So it's just, it's like Donald Glover's character from Community, but if he did a lot of acid.
And then showed up in the MCU.
Yep, exactly. It's great. It's really funny. It's definitely not a clean humor movie. At one point, they drop a like a key or a ring or something like that into a a very dirty toilet in the back of a stripper joint. And they all make eye contact, and they're like, "Somebody's got to go get it." It's one of them just goes, "All right," and he's like, they're all, and at the same time they're running from people. So like the other two guys are trying to get out of the window, while the other guy's like elbow deep in this toilet, like looking for this thing, and he just starts yelling things. Like at one point he's like, "There's something hard inside something soft. I don't understand." It's just so weird. It's such a weird movie, but it's so funny because it's so weird.
Okay. Where can I find this?
I have no idea.
Dark web.
Luke from college randomly found it in a bin, in like the $5 bin at Walmart one day, and we were like, we all like Donald Glover. Let's watch him. Sure, nothing could go wrong.
Which I don't know if he actually watches this or not. I don't know if Luke listens to us or not. But if he does, Luke, you are the cause of this. You inadvertently started everything here. So good job. Cause yeah, Fight Club, man. Fight Club is everything. Interesting. What? Okay, so I did back-to-back ones. What's another one that you've got?
I've got, let's go with a recent one with Jumanji Next Level.
Yeah, buddy. I like me some Jumanji.
It's very good. It's weirdly enough better than the first one, which doesn't happen a lot with comedies.
Completely agree. I love the second one. I love them both, but the second one is even better, I think.
Yeah, and I think I will say I don't want to give away any story details or anything like that, but like the opening scenes with Danny DeVito makes me want him as Phil in the live action Hercules even more now. Because gosh, that man's still funny.
I feel like, okay, is it just me? Maybe I just haven't seen enough of him in person. I feel like they shrunk Danny DeVito even more in this movie to make him seem smaller.
No.
He's just actually that small?
Have you ever seen... Yeah, have you ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Some. I've seen...
Yeah,
I've seen the one where he wrestles.
Yes. No, he's legitimately that small.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I love Jumanji so much, especially that second one, and I really hope we get a third one. So...
I think they're setting it up, so...
You got a recent one. I'm going to go old school. Like, I think this was the 80s. This is back when he was still relatively sane and not claiming he was on Tiger Blood. And I'm, of course, talking about Charlie Sheen. And my favorite Charlie Sheen movie of all time, because I'm a baseball fan, is Major League. What'd you think I was going to go with? Like Hot Shots?
Yeah, I thought you were going Hot Shots. Don't get me wrong. So funny.
I love Hot Shots, too. And Hot Shots Part 2. But as a baseball fan... Major League is just great, man.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Are you saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? I like Jesus, but he no hit curveball. And he's got the snake and he's like baptizing his locker or something. It's just so... It's the classic baseball movie. It's so good and so stupid. You may run like Mays, but you hit like his sister. Well, that's the TV version, which I actually like that version. I like that dialogue dubbing better. It's every once in a while, the TV dub is better than the original version. Looking at you, Snakes on a Plane, Monkey Fried. It's still the best dubbing ever. For those that don't know, if you watch Snakes on a Plane, which you're thinking, Nathan, why are you watching Snakes on a Plane? Trust me, that's one movie I never will see, but I have seen that scene. Instead of, he normally says, I've had it with these MF snakes on this MF plane. When you watch it on TV, I've had it with these monkey fried snakes on this Monday to Friday plane, and it is the single best dubbing ever. Um, Major League, you had everyone more or less in their comedic prime. You had Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes before the taxes. You had Henry Spencer from Psych as a terrible third baseman that thinks he's still good.
Yes.
And at one point, you see Dorn, the catcher, reading Moby Dick as a comic book so he can keep up with this librarian ex-girlfriend. Major League is just good, and I don't care. I still even like the second one. I just enjoy the Major League franchise. I enjoy both of them, but the first one in particular, it gets me into baseball spirit, and it's just wonderful. Although I will give an honorable mention to Hot Shots just to make Josh happy.
Yeah,
I do enjoy both of them, but Major League's where it's at, man. What you got?
Yep, I agree. All right, I got lots more.
Well, yeah.
Let's stick with this older film feel. I put air quotes there because I think it's a time that it's recognized as one of the best comedic duos ever in Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe.
That's not old school. That's not old school.
It's old school. It takes place in the 80s.
That's like 2016 or 2017, man.
That's why I put air quotes.
Whatever, man. But, okay, yes, The Nice Guys is still wonderful.
So for those who don't know, The Nice Guys is basically about two detectives who are
not nice guys.
It's up for they're not nice guys, and it's up for debate of whether or not they're good at their job.
No, Russell Crowe is good at his job, but Ryan Gosling is not.
But Ryan Gosling definitely is not.
Yeah, I love that. Russell Crowe just cold cocks everyone in the face, and it's great.
Yes, he does. I think it's still my favorite scene in the film is when they're trying to get rid of the body, and they accidentally dump it on a wedding table.
Or when Russell Crowe first meets Ryan Gosling, and Ryan Gosling is sitting on a toilet while trying to hold a gun, a cigarette, a newspaper, and the door open, and still cover himself up, and he can't do it.
No. And Russell Crowe's daughter, isn't it? Is just the meanest person. Is it Russell Crowe's or Ryan's?
Russell Crowe's. It's Russell Crowe's.
Okay.
Ryan Gosling never has kids in movies. I don't think he's old enough. He's still baby-faced. He's still baby-faced.
Oh, he's my age. He's a little older than me.
What? Come on. Is he?
Dude, hit us with another movie. I'm gonna live Google this.
I got it. I got my tablet.
Okay.
Keep telling us about The Nice Guys.
Look at you.
Actually,
it's okay, but it's your typical mystery, detective
dude,
film.
Not even close. Okay, Josh, how old do you think you are?
I'm 28.
Ryan Gosling is 39, dude.
Yeah, that's close.
That's what women tell themselves that love Ryan Gosling.
Oh, okay. Bang,
Although,
bang, bang.
I will say, now that I think about it, I remember what my favorite moment of The Nice Guys is, and it's not one that just talked about as much, but any scene that completely exposes or jokes about typical movie tropes, I'm a big fan of. So there's a scene when Ryan Gosling has to break into a house to get some information, and so the age-old adage is you break the window to the door, and you unlock it to let yourself in. So this idiot tries to punch the door, and he accidentally slits his wrist with the shattered glass of the door that he just punched a hole in, and he has to get sent to the ER because he passes out from the blood loss, all from trying to break into a door. Anything that just you would expect. Oh yeah, the hero can, of course, just get into a locked door. That's just something you come to expect from movies. And when that doesn't happen, that's when the humor lies. And it just gets taken to the extreme. And it's so stupid wonderful.
It's so stupid. It's so funny, though. It's a very, very funny movie.
It's very, very good. Let's see. I will go with a recent-ish movie. Oh gosh,
Okay.
I said recent-ish. Now that I think about it, it's like 10 years old now. Um,
That was like me when I was like, man, Balboa came out a couple years ago.
14 years ago.
Yeah. Oh boy.
No, this movie came out 10 years ago, if I remember correctly, and it's still one of my all-time favorites, and I'm still pissed to this day that we never got a sequel, and it would have been called Get Smarter, because I'm, of course, talking about Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway's comedic masterpiece, Get Smart. I loved it so much, and maybe it's because The Rock is actually the bad guy for once, so he's playing against type. He's actually doing something different for once. But this, to me, was at least when I first started to notice Steve Carell as a comedic genius, because I saw Anchorman late, but then again, I felt like I didn't need to see Anchorman because everyone in junior high quoted it. Literally every other word out of their mouth was an Anchorman quote. If it wasn't that, it was a Step Brothers quote. Which neither of those movies are on my list. I like them, but they've been played to death, I think.
Yes, they have.
But Steve Carell is just outstanding and Get Smart. It is so funny. And there's just, I appreciate in a comedy when there's different types of humor, like slapstick, topical, but also like some really, really intelligent humor. That's why I like Robin Williams, because yes, he can make goofy voices and everything else, but then he can transition it to like, I'll make a joke about the Roman Empire and you'll still get it. I'm like, okay, cool. And I think that is all over the place. And it's because it was inspired by a Mel Brooks show with Get Smart, which Mel Brooks is a genius, and let's just say won't be the last time that we hear the name Mel Brooks talked about today.
No, it will not.
But I unfortunately narrowed it down to just one Mel Brooks movie, or else most of his stuff would be on this list. But Get Smart is so good. You can't staple people's heads. That's CIA crap. Or just for a while there, I could quote the whole movie because I've seen it so much. Also, we talk about how great the Bill Murray cameo is in Zombieland. Why do we talk about his great cameo in Get Smart when he's literally just stationed inside of a hollow tree for hours on end and doesn't get to talk to anybody?
It's Bill Murray, man. I don't know. I mean, he's done nothing but comedy, like cameos recently, really. And I mean, he's got a few indie projects that he's kind of put out, but like, I agree. Like, it's one of the best cameos out there. And it's unfortunately like everyone's like, I love him in Zombieland, but nobody saw Zombieland until later.
Nope.
So,
and then I think people saw Zombieland 2. I don't know how that did at the box office.
I'm not 100% on that one either.
But he's great in that one too, because I feel like that one he had a little pent up rage in that cameo.
I mean, how could you not hate playing Garfield?
Yeah, because he was tricked into playing
Poor
it.
guy.
But I love Get Smart so much, and I'm glad it's now on HBO Max that I can watch it in better quality than my DVD, because that's how long I've had it.
Absolutely.
But Josh, what's your next one?
You were talking about Steve Carell, in that you weren't, I guess, you were made aware of Steve Carell's comedic chops, right? And for Get Smart. We all had a feeling that Channing Tatum could be funny, but in 21 Jump Street, he proved that he is really funny.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I might be in the minority, and that's fine. I actually prefer 22 Jump Street over the first one.
I do as well, but I think if we're doing which one's a better, like, quote unquote movie, I think 21 is better built story wise and doesn't load into the typical buddy cop cliches like the second one does.
Well, I might think the second one's better because it has like the single funniest scene I've ever seen in a movie with,
yes.
And everyone's like universally agrees that, okay, that's the best scene in the movie when, okay, what the heck is the elephant in the room? It flips around the picture, takes a minute. The actual microwave ding noise goes off and goes, "You did it with Captain's daughter!" And he just runs around for 2 minutes. It's funny, and then for a little bit, it's not funny because it drags on. And then because they drag it on for so long, it becomes funny again. And then he just sits down. It's really not that funny.
And it's not funny. Yeah, you're right. Sure.
It's so good. But the first one of just like that scene where they accidentally just took the drugs from Dave Franco.
Yeah.
And Rob Riggle is just like, "You guys on drugs? Nah, man. Put your tongue back in your mouth. That's weird." He's like just a ice cream cone head. I'm like, what is this movie?
Oh man. And just like, I think Jonah and Channing Tatum's chemistry was something I don't think really, at least I didn't expect. And then once I saw them on screen, I want more of both of these guys together, whether it's in 21 Jump Street or something else. This was the kind of the movie too that put Jonah Hill on my radar, because like I had never, I didn't grow up with like what was it?
Superbad?
I didn't grow up with Superbad.
Same.
I didn't care.
Yeah,
but
fine.
yeah, so so this put Jonah Hill on the radar for me, and it's hard to beat the first one, honestly.
Yeah. Again, I've never been like the hugest fan of Ice Cube as an actor, but he's perfect. And if we couldn't get J.K. Simmons back, there's some people that wanted Ice Cube as J. Jonah, and I was like, I'm not entirely against that idea, actually.
I might prefer it a little bit.
Yeah, Jump Street, it's so stupid. Also, great cameo by Johnny Depp at the end.
Yeah.
Because he specifically asked to die.
Yes.
Because he really was done with the Jump Street franchise. He's like, oh, cool, chance to die definitively? Works for me. Jump Street. Oh, you talked to... Now I remember where my brain was going. Sometimes it goes too fast. You talked about you wanted to see more of Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. You do realize that they have paired up again besides Jump Street, right?
In what?
Both Lego movies. Superman and Green Lantern.
Wait, really?
Superman and Green Lantern. Also done by Lord and Miller.
What?
That's...
What?
Yeah.
All
Look
right.
it up. You didn't know?
Yeah. Every day.
That's why they have all those jokes about like Superman being tired of Green Lantern, is because they were buddies in Jump Street movies by the same directors.
That's crazy. Huh. Well, all right then.
Josh learns something new every day.
Yeah. That's the goal, right?
Yep. So, switching gears here, I'm going to go with the only seasonal movie on my list, because I believe horror comedies can be enjoyed year-round. Whereas this one movie, if you watch it any other time in the year than when you're supposed to, it's kind of weird, because it's almost like a rite of passage in my family that you have to watch this movie every Christmas season and no other time, or else it's weird. And of course, I'm talking about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Okay. I'm down with that.
Yeah. I was like, do I put it on this list? Well, granted, I've seen it more than almost any other comedy because it's like a tradition, and fight me, it's the best Christmas movie ever, because it's... The older I get, the more it's uncomfortable because of how it is definitely my family going, oh, yep, that's the Cousin Eddie of the family. That's the Clark Griswold of the family. Yep, okay. That's hitting a little too close to home. I know that feeling. It's just, I watch it every year. It's also probably one of the most quoted movies in my house. And it's one of those that it doesn't matter how many times you quote it, it's still funny to me. Like, that cat had 9 lives.
Yeah.
She just spent them all. Or just Cousin Eddie on the front lawn, just getting rid of his sewage. Crapper was full.
That is, that's me. I'm Cousin Eddie.
Yes, I would say that your heart is bigger than your brain.
Oh, that's mean.
You said it, not me.
Oh, that's so mean. Dang. I don't know what to do now. I'm so hurt.
Uh-huh. No,
Oh
Josh.
man.
Josh
All
is
right.
dead inside. He
So
doesn't feel
I got
anything except knee pain.
yeah, don't be fooled. Um so you got three more after that, right?
4.
Yeah. Okay, so we're down to four solid.
And all 4 of these last ones, except for my number 1, are so close.
Yeah. So these last four are at least in for me, and I think you can say the same. I definitely have one specific one that's my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of these are so close, and I can easily quote large portions of these last four. I could, and if I'm having a bad day and you put on any of these four, it instantly changes the rest of my day.
Oh yeah, same. Some I have more of an emotional
So
connection to, and I think that's why I latch on to them. But others, I just
yes,
genuinely will always love and quote the whole entire thing.
yes. So I'm gonna lead in here, nice and strong, with Kung Pao.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be here soon at some point. That's why I said it earlier that, yep, Kung Pao's got to be on here somewhere.
It's golly,
It's
this
either Kung
movie.
Pao or Kung Fu Hustle.
See, what's weird is I almost would consider Kung Fu Hustle more of a martial arts movie than a comedy.
What about Shaolin Soccer?
Whereas Kung Pao is definitely all the way a comedy.
What about Shaolin Soccer? And
From
also, I made a Shaolin Soccer reference in 2020.
I'm so proud of you.
Like, no one talks about Shaolin Soccer anymore.
Because no one has seen it.
It's true.
Um, but Kung Pao is literally one of the funniest movies on the planet to me. It like from the point when he punches the guy's stomach out and it's a solid piece of jello to him jumping over a hole and being like, I need gopher chucks, and two gophers pop out and he rips a shirt and he's got gopher nunchucks. Like it's just the most ridiculous movie as far as kung fu goes, but it's so funny. It's too smart for its own good. And like I love how it's made too. I love the fact that it's an old kung fu movie that's been dubbed and then they like shot other stuff and just put it in there.
So, is that the one where, like, the hero's like running from a really far distance away, and it's like, chosen
Yes,
one, I'm coming. So I say
I'm
that
coming.
because that scene reminds me of a scene from one of my movies that I'll put now. Um, in which case, there's 2 guards guarding a castle. Brrr, guy off in the distance. Brrr, guy off in the distance. Brrr, huzzah! Just stabs out of nowhere because that's, to me, the funniest joke in all of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I love Monty Python because, to me, if you edit a movie well, editing can be funny. Look at any Edgar Wright movie. Edgar Wright movies are funny because he edits them in a funny way. Like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, there's funny editing in that. Things enter the frame in funny ways. They leave things in funny ways. And there's funny editing in Monty Python. But also, come on, it's Monty Python. Of course, one of us had to say it's one of the best comedies ever. You may call me Tim. Or, like, before everyone quoted Anchorman, people quoted Monty Python. And still to this day, other
Yes.
than maybe Star Wars, it could easily be the single most quoted movie of all time. Even if you have not seen Monty
Yes.
Python, you know. But just a scratch, just a flesh wound. Or the Killer Bunny. Everyone knows Monty Python.
Oh, come back here. I'll bite your arm off.
It's
Yes, and that's why it's my next one. So
yeah.
yes, it's so good. It genuinely I think it encapsulates outside of the show. If you've ever seen Monty Python Flying Circus, it's a good time. I would recommend it to anybody. But it encapsulates. Okay, are you ready for something different? That kind of mentality that the Monty Python crew has always kind of put at the forefront of when they're writing stuff. And just like from the fact that they have a coconut joke at the beginning of the movie that becomes an actual story point
because they didn't have the money in the budget for an actual horse.
I know, and it's great. It's what was it? What scene? Oh, so like when he says when sorcerer, oh my goodness, says his name's Tim. John Cleese had like an actual super long name that they had written, and he forgot it and just said Tim, and they were like, "Yeah, that's hilarious. Let's do that."
Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. I'm not dead yet.
I'm fine. I could go for a walk.
Or for a while there, my text message ringtone was "Message for you, sir." I will avenge you. I'll make sure your death was not in vain. I think I'll be okay. I think I'll pull through.
I'm gonna be okay.
I'll get you help. I'll be fine. I'll come along. I'm fine. I'm a sucker for good British humor. It's hard to describe, but British humor is different than American humor. That's why I loved the British IT crowd more than the Big Bang Theory, just because it was just stupid. But at the same time, this is going to sound really dumb, but stupid humor is incredibly smart if done correctly. It's really hard to do good stupid humor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Monty Python does it so well, but also like they will acknowledge the fourth wall. That's something that it's really easy to do, but hard to do it well. But Monty Python does it well. It's like, do you think we should cut this song? We've debated about that internally, and we don't know if we should keep it or not. It feels like it drags out the movie. Or they're being chased by the dragon, and all of a sudden, the animator had a heart attack. Like, I love anything that draws attention to it and, like, breaks the fourth wall. And my top movie of all time definitely destroys the fourth wall on more than one occasion, but I'll get there in a little bit. Monty Python is just a wonderful classic. So that's your next one.
It is.
I'll go with one that's got... It's high on my list just because it's more of a sentimental pick, but also I've seen it so many times because it's so ridiculously funny. And I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I keep saying you need to see it. It's a movie called Better Off Dead. I put it on the list because it was one of the first movies that Heather and I watched together when we first started dating. And the premise, there is no way you could remake this movie nowadays with this premise like this. So John Cusack, the wonderful man that he is, this was back in his teen years. He just got broken up by his girlfriend, who's like the most popular girl in school, who is actually Nancy from the original Nightmare on Elm Street. So she breaks up with him, and he becomes suicidal, thinking it's not worth it in life anymore, so he's going to kill himself. But every time he tries to kill himself, something goes wrong that keeps him alive. So, like, he is going to hang himself in the garage, but he thinks out of it. He's just like, okay, I'll be okay. But as he's trying to get himself down, his mom opens the garage door and accidentally knocks him off. So he's actually hanging for real, going, help. Or better yet, he has wrapped himself in like curtains or something and has lighter fluid and is going to set him, he's going to drink the lighter fluid to kill himself. But before he can do it, they're having the neighbor and a foreign exchange student over for dinner. And the mom of the neighbor grabs the lighter fluid, drinks a little bit of it, and then lights her cigar and explodes herself. That's the best thing in the world. And so we immediately smash cut to the next day when they have to drive that kid to school, and John Cusack just goes, "Gee, Ricky, I'm sorry your mom blew up." Or my single favorite line from the whole movie is he's trying to kill himself by jumping off a bridge into traffic. So he's about over there. His friend talks him out of it. He's just like, you're gonna be okay. You could just go back to skiing because he's a big skier, and there's a whole bunch of jokes with that too. And so he finally talks him out of it. But before John Cusack can climb back over the barricade to safety, his friend pats him on the back, and he falls over the edge into the street. But a driving by trash truck catches him, and so he just chills in the backseat of a truck for a little bit, and he drives past two guys fixing electric wires hanging above, and two of them just look at him, waves to them, and they just look at each other going, it's a shame people be throwing away a perfectly good white boy. I'm going, just wrong, but wonderful and wrong. Or there's an evil kid that just wants his $2. Or
yes, okay, so I have seen that movie.
It's so good.
I watched it with you guys.
Yes. I
Because
wondered if you saw it.
That line pops in my head all the time. I'm just like chilling by myself, and I see a kid ride by on a bike, and just in my head I just hear $2.
$2. Or this is perfectly good snow. Do you know the street value of this? A guy that's like snorting snow, and he's just like,
yes,
I can't feel my right arm, while he's moving his right arm in circles. And I'm like, just it's so 80s and warped and wrong. It's just so stupid, and I love it so much. So yeah, I watch that one every couple months. I'm not a big rom-com fan, and I don't even know if I would put it in that, because the romance is only something that they throw in the last 20 minutes, really. But it's so just wrong, but the right kind of wrong. It ain't right, man.
So I am gonna skip my number 2.
Oh.
Because I know what your number 1 is.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
So let's lead then with, what do you think my number 1 is? If it's not what your number 1 is, what is it?
How to Train Your Dragon.
That's not a comedy.
There's comedic elements to it.
It's comedic elements in any good movie.
I'll
give you a hint. How about that? I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's another British comedy starring Bilbo Baggins.
Starring Bilbo Baggins? Hot Fuzz?
Nope. Are you ready?
The World's End.
No. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Dude, I could have had a year and I still wouldn't have guessed that.
Bro, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is genuinely like one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So it's okay. Do you know the premise?
Yeah. The world blows up, doesn't it?
It's so, the world gets blown up, and Martin Freeman's character has to go on an adventure because there's no home. There's no Earth right now. And it's intergalactic travel, and there's lots of weird stuff. It's good times all around, Just make sure you bring your towel.
Also, I think you're one of the only people that actually still brings that up to this day. Like, I know there's a big Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan base, but like, you don't hear it talked about much in 2020.
No, you don't, because it's so wild.
Okay. So, my number 2, before we reveal the big number 1, my number 2 is a fairly recent one that may be an immediate fan of a certain director that I begged and pleaded Josh to see for years, and he finally did. And I believe he was rewarded for watching it, because Taika Waititi is a masterclass at good storytelling. Yes. And I'm so glad I was introduced to him via What We Do in the Shadows, the movie. Before the show, there was an outstanding movie. And I think besides the scene from 22 Jump Street that we talked about earlier, What We Do in the Shadows is one of the only movies that has made me cry from laughing so hard for one scene in particular. And that's when, it's not Stu, the guy that gets turned into a vampire about halfway through, when he's running for his life, trying not to get bitten, and Jermaine Clement's character kind of turns into a cat, but he can't quite get it. So picture a cat's body with the face of the guy from Flight of the Conchords, except like regular size, and it's terrifying and funny. Like my roommate at the time, Alex, we saw this in college together, and we had to pause the movie. We were laughing so hard and crying because it just comes out of nowhere. Like, what are we watching? What road have we gone down? This is insanity, and I kind of don't want to stop. But like, there's that type of humor. There's good topical humor. There's Taika Waititi just being outstanding. There's that great scene of just like they're talking about how terrifying vampires are. Of like, when I got bitten, I was in a long dark hallway in this dark dungeon castle, and I see this tall, mysterious figure looming over me. He swoops in, bites my neck, and when I wake up, it was Peter.
Yeah, they love Peter.
Peter's great, and I'm still sad that Peter. What happened to Peter is Peter, but also as great as Peter is,
Yeah.
the real MVP of that movie is Stu, who is like the only normal character for most of this movie. There's just it's I would almost say it's pretty clean by and large. Actually, I think it's R, but I could make the argument that it should be PG-13. It's relatively clean, which that doesn't have to be the case for comedies, but it didn't rely on shock value or raunchiness to be funny. Like, and in fact, when they do swear, they call it out because remember, we're werewolves, not swearwolves. Which is the single greatest.
Good stuff.
It's I just love What We Do in the Shadows so much. It's so good.
It's super good.
It's so underrated. That's why I knew really Ragnarok was going to be good. I finally
saw it too. Yeah, I'm really happy I finally saw it because that is a treat. It is definitely a treat.
Yeah, it's how I knew Ragnarok was going to be something special. I was just like, oh, it's the guy that did What We Did in the Shadows? This is going to be good. Okay, Josh, the ball is in your court. What do you think is my number one of all time that will never, ever be shaken and will always be my number one comedy ever?
Well, you said we were going to talk about Mel Brooks again.
Yeah, buddy.
And you love stupid but smart humor. We've already talked about Holy Grail, so there's only one movie left that could possibly be, and that's Spaceballs. No,
okay, I was about to say, I was like, you're close, but no cigar, because a lot of people prefer Spaceballs.
Is good though.
A lot of people prefer Spaceballs. Yeah. Heather actually likes Spaceballs more than this movie, which I get. I understand that this isn't the most popular Mel Brooks movie, but I don't care because I grew up reading so many Robin Hood stories, so it was all the more gratifying to me to see stupid shenanigans in Robin Hood Men in Tights, which that's my happy place as a movie. I could quote the whole thing, and unfortunately, I think I did when we watched it earlier this week just to rewatch it because I hadn't seen it in a while. I'm like, this is still good, which I remember in high school. I did some plays every once in a while, but I remember one of my friends in high school, his mom was the drama teacher, and so I remember time and time again trying to convince her, we need to make Men in Tights in the next year's school play, and make me Blinken, please, because Blinken is like single-handedly my favorite comedy character, and also rewatching it now, it makes it so much better when you're paying attention to him because they don't call attention to it, but wherever the action is or whatever's happening, everyone's looking at it, except for Blinken, who purposely will look the opposite direction every single time. Or like when they're pretend jousting, everyone turns their head to face the action. His head turns the opposite direction just to keep that joke going, but they never call attention to it. So it's one of those, if you don't call attention to something, for me, it makes it funnier. Like in Nacho Libre, when he's playing tetherball and he loses a shoe, they never call attention to it, and he just walks away dramatically. I'm like, you still don't have your shoe, by the way. Men in Tights, I can quote the whole thing more than anything else. will never not be funny to me as many times as I watch it. Of just thinking about it, I will always crack up. It's not my favorite scene in the movie, but it's the one that I can never keep a straight face for. Is when the Pope is coming down. Hey, Abbott. Good morrow. Hey, Abbott. Good morrow. Hey, Abbott. I hate that guy.
Morrow.
And then they got the little beeper for the door and just beep, boop. It's there's so many different styles of humor. You've got an Air Jordan reference, because kids are gonna know what that means nowadays. Or
the pumps.
It's just great. Or my actual favorite scene in the whole movie is when the evil king hires a bounty hunter to kill Robin during the archery contest, and he shoots the arrow and Blinken catches it in midair, and they're like,
yes,
good job, Blinken. How did you do that? I could hear it coming a mile away. Good job, Blinken. What? Who's talking?
What?
Like, just completely oblivious. It's just good.
Like the Abe Lincoln joke that they run.
Abe Lincoln? No, hey Blinken or
Blinken. I love
a Jew here? No, not a Jew. A Chew.
Oh man, that and the moving mole.
Which is like a running joke for Mel Brooks movies, because it's like the same thing with the hump in Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
I have a mole?
That is one of my favorite Mel Brooks jokes is the hump.
The moving
Didn't you
thing.
wasn't your hump on the other side? What hump?
Which also, I love, with quick side tangent with Young Frankenstein, I think my single favorite line from that whole thing is when what's his face? Igor comes back with the abnormal brain, and Beast runs out, and he's just like, you got an abnormal brain? Damn your eyes. Too late for that. And his eyes are all they're like making fun of the fact that his eyes are already going.
They're in every direction.
I was like, okay, it's just wrong, but it's wonderful.
It's the best.
But Men in Tights will just
and
like,
we'd be
go for it.
Yeah, we'd be amiss if we didn't talk about the Men in Tights song, because it's it's the pinnacle.
We're men in tights. And Blinken just decking everyone in the face. Also,
it's just good, and like the joke where they start with the big sticks and they keep breaking them, so they go to smaller sticks, and still they're like this, going.
And then he falls in the river. Help me, I'm drowning.
It's such a good movie.
I'm drowning.
He's like, you're not. You're like in barely a creek, boy.
So, I think the reason why it's my favorite comedy is, one, I grew up as a big Robin Hood fan, and I don't care. Fight me. This is the best. This is the last good Robin Hood movie we've had since, what was this, 1992, 1993. We haven't had a good Robin Hood movie since. I think this movie works for me and works as a movie. Yes, there's good humor, but it's still trying to tell a story and be a movie. At its core, it is still a halfway decent Robin Hood story. Even if you strip away the comedy, it's a pretty good Robin Hood movie in and of itself. It's a loving homage somewhere in between the Errol Flynn Robin Hood movie, which still holds up really well and is actually really excellent, and the Kevin Costner one that's parodying. It's a good Robin Hood story, and I think my issue that I've said many times with modern spoof movies is scenes only exist to tell jokes, not move the plot along. Whereas Men in Tights, they have jokes within scenes, but there aren't scenes that are there just to tell specific jokes. They make jokes out of the scenes that are happening. Like a Chew pointing out, hey, you don't have to fight him. I'm on the east side. I'm on the west side. I'm on the north side. I'm on the south side. In fact, I'm standing right in the middle of them both. Like, that's something from a Robin Hood story that we're making fun of. Mel Brooks understands comedy of how close can you get it to the source material, because the closer you get it to that, the funnier it is. Why does Young Frankenstein work? Because it's so close to that style of the classic Universal monster movies. Why does Spaceballs work? Because it's so close to Star Wars, but not quite. It understands its source material, whereas a lot of people are just like, oh, this is funny because I recognize that reference. It's not so much that. It's you have to recognize it, but also have something smart to say about it. And I think Mel Brooks was excellent at that. Now, as much as I like Spaceballs, it'll always be Men in Tights for me. Although I do like when they go to plaid.
Yes. It's all good stuff, man. It's all of the movies we talked about today are very solid comedies that I think no matter what your humor preference is, minus maybe a couple of mine, you'll get them, you'll understand them, and they're a good time. And at the end of the day, that's what a good comedy does. It's not too stupid. It's not too smart. It doesn't try to be something it's not. And I think that's what pretty much all of the movies that we talked about today, they very gracefully tell the stories of their characters, for better or for worse, whether or not that means having some really weird and stupid things happen. But at the end of the day, the characters, like we've always say, the characters are the ones that we come for the movies for. And I mean, I think about Rod all the time. I think about characters from Men in Tights all the time. But those are the people that these movies are so funny. People like Blinken, especially Blinken. That's why we keep coming back to these comedies.
I couldn't agree more. Well said, my friend. So, what are some of your favorite comedies of all time? Let us know. We always like hearing from you guys. And as always, if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, subscribe to us on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on, whether that's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or YouTube. If you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube at Uncharted Media. And as always, stay sharp, you guys and gals.